Welcome to the Boxing Talk Show.
Fair but firm.
With the Hall of Fame boxing referee.
I'm Joe Cortez.
And co-host John Zamel for all of Las Vegas.
Come on, guys. Let's touch them up. Pre-fight. I'm Joe Cortez. Fair but firm.
Hello and welcome to the Fair but Firm show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world. This week we'll be talking about some good things and some sad things that happened in boxing with two fighters, most recently this past weekend. Patrick Day, who's in an induced coma, very serious condition in Chicago after his loss Saturday night with only 30 seconds to go in the fight. Very competitive fight. He was knocked down twice during the course of the fight. But talking to the referee, Celestino Ruiz from Chicago, was telling me, Joe, it was a very competitive fight, good fight, and Patrick Day was handling himself very well. I have my co-host with us on the show, John Zimmer, will also be sharing his thoughts about the hurts in boxing. And I can tell you that it's so sad because when you see a fighter that has so much talent, I think he already had like 4 losses on his record with about 16 wins. And these things happen in boxing, don't you know, John?
Absolutely.
You know,
Patrick Day has been, a lot of people really love him. He's spoken very highly of by a lot of media members and other people in the fight community. He had a very extensive amateur career. He was even considered a kind of amateur rival to Errol Spence at one point when they were coming up together. Right. It was, this is a guy who had a lot of promise and obviously had some setbacks. He wasn't going to be the face of boxing by any means. But he was a great fighter in a very competitive matchup, and this is kind of, unfortunately, one of the unfortunate consequences of the fight game. I mean, this is a sport that we all love. If you're watching us at 1 o'clock on a Monday, then you're probably a pretty big boxing fan as well. So you know as well as we do the perils that come with this sport. There's so many highs and so many lows. But let's start with the good news. He's still alive as of this taping, and he's under medical supervision. They handled it very well as opposed to the Dadashev fight or the Argentine fighter who we lost earlier this year, who they trotted out to do to announce the draw and the whole thing when he was clearly seizing. This was, this is how you're supposed to handle it. When you have a guy who you could tell is not doing well, you take him right to the hospital right away. But we've seen these signs how many times before? It's seizures, it's vomiting. This is the effects of a brain bleed, and that's why he got rushed to emergency brain surgery to reduce the swelling in the brain. And at this point, he probably will never fight again, but he's on the road to recovery. We hope. I mean, this is the limbo that we walk as boxing fans.
Yeah, well, we want to echo what everybody's been saying out there. Is just to say a lot of prayers for speedy recovery. I spoke to the referee, Celestino Ruiz, who's an excellent referee.
We've had him on the show before.
We've had him on the show. He's a great referee. Did a great job. He made sure that he didn't even bother to count. He says, Joe, I didn't even, as soon as he hit, I waved it off right there. And, this thing we need immediate attention by these ringside doctors. And you got to have, every commission should have good ringside doctors. Apparently, they took quick action Saturday night. They had the stretcher in there. They moved him out real quick on the gurney, took him to the hospital. They started performing surgery right away.
Which is what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what you want. As much attention as we give to the trainers and to the fighters themselves and to the cornermen and the medical staff and the referees and everybody involved on how to make this sport safer, at the end of the day, you're still getting punched in the head. It's going to be unwanted consequences that have to do with medical issues like this, and this is how you handle them when something happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should commend the medical staff for handling it so swiftly. And
you had earlier this year, you had Adonis Stevenson, who got hurt in a fight in Canada, and he seems to be okay. He recovered.
Zab Judah, same thing.
Zab Judah has
he got
similar,
rushed
to the hospital. But Adonis Stevenson, I'll be with him in 2 weeks at the WBC convention in Cancun, and we'll be talking to him. I want to talk to him about his recovery and how he's doing with his family. I've seen him in some interviews already. He looks pretty good. But very few fighters get to make it to that with that recovery, make it back.
Once you were in a coma stage from a brain injury. How often do we see? And we're right now. As of this recording, hopefully we look back and it's all good news and everything's fine. But as of right now, we're in that 50-50 point where we don't know what's happening next. His doctors don't know.
Yeah,
there's only so much they can do. Maxim Dadashev, he also got rushed to the hospital and went through brain surgery and reduced the swelling and everything. And then we lost him. This is.
I was talking to the referee about an hour ago. He told me, Joe, I spoke with the doctor. He said he's a very serious condition.
Yeah.
When you hear that, it's not a good. It happened to me one time in '94 with a fighter named Robert Wangila. He was former Olympic champion, and I stopped the fight in the 10th round, and they were both protesting that I stopped it. Even the fighter was protesting, and even the doctor told me he's okay in the ring. 15 minutes later, they come rushing out of the dressing room. He's having seizures.
We already know that.
They took him to the hospital, and he passed 2 days later. So it goes to show that sometimes the referees, sometimes no fault of a referee, but we're in the hurt business.
Yes.
That's why we tell trainers, if your fighter receives a concussive blow during training, he's gotten knocked down, or you think he got hurt seriously during the training session leading up to that fight, he best cancel the fight, because when you have the injury, brain injury, you don't recover that quickly. So
oh my God, no.
That's why most commissions give you 60 days, 90 days, 120 days suspension after a knockout.
No matter what. Yeah.
Especially after a knockout, to make sure that you recover properly. And that means that when you go back to training, you should not be doing any sparring or nothing like that.
For months.
When you're in a suspension, it's for a reason. We got to make sure the trainers and the gym owners and the promoters make sure they follow up with their fighters. Make sure if they get stopped in a fight, they receive serious blows to the head, especially when your head hits that canvas. Yes. I mean, that's the worst part. Sometimes the hit on the canvas is harder than the blow itself.
Absolutely.
And that's why you don't want to see in boxing. But we have to try to do the best we can.
No, I mean, when we first met, before we even started doing the show, I had a brain injury. I had a brain bleed. I got rushed to the hospital for surgery. And I can tell you the recovery process was over a year long. And I certainly wouldn't do anything that could risk hitting my head again at this point. And I'm not a professional boxer. I mean, these guys, what they go through in that recovery process, having been through it, it's scary and it's staggering and it's painful and it's dangerous. And all we can say is that that's part of the sport that we love, but everything that we can do to mitigate that aspect of it, we've tried to do. And I think they did a phenomenal job this weekend. I mean, from everyone from Celestino Ruiz to the medical staff to the surgeons to everyone involved, I want to commend them for doing the best to mitigate the most unfortunate consequences of the sport that we all love.
Yeah, we're to make sure that we continue our prayers for Patrick Date and his family, and we're in your corner, brother. Wishing you the best, and hopefully God will put his hand over you and get back on track where you belong. And boxing it's a tough business, and we tell fighters, trainers, managers, promoters, and loved ones, to make sure you watch over these fighters and making sure that they can come back another day.
Absolutely. Well, that wasn't the only bad news of the weekend. We might as well, if we're going to stay morose and we're going to stay a little somber, let's stay on the subject here. Errol Spence.
Yeah, let's talk about Errol Spence.
Is very much, making his case for the face of boxing, very much making his case for being the future of the sport as far as marketability goes, as far as being the, who people come out to see. He suffered a very intense, very scary car accident this weekend. He has Ferrari flipped about 3 times, which is insane to watch. He got thrown clear from the vehicle. The initial reports were that he was expected to survive, which is about, well, it's the second worst thing you can hear outside of, expected not to survive or didn't survive.
Yeah.
Meaning, when you hear about this, you assume the worst, right? His boxing career is over. This is a guy who's been groomed to be the future of the sport for so long. And now we're hearing, what? I mean, he's fine, full recovery.
Yeah, well, we hope he has a full recovery. You never know, until he gets back into that training again, get back into the ring. This could be some serious damage that we don't know about yet. They say he's okay, but, you have to give him some time to really. I mean, when you get thrown out of a car, I don't know if you've seen the replay.
If you haven't seen the video, you should. It's insane. It's insane that he's
look at the car
alive.
Blew up in the air, it flips over, and they say he was ejected from he had no seatbelt on. And you wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's what I'm serious. I was going to bring that up. I honestly, and I'm not advocating for not wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
But when you watch the video, you got to think, right? It's probably the best thing possible that he got thrown from that.
Yeah.
Because that was, if he had stayed in that car, he's probably dead. The fact that he's alive to begin with is really a miracle. And let's focus once again on the good news.
Yeah.
The man's alive,
Yeah.
no broken bones. He's got some facial lacerations, but then again, so does Tyson Fury, and he's fine. The guy, he's expected to make a full recovery, which is a big difference from 2 days ago when we heard expected to survive. So, it seems like it's trending all in the right direction, but let's talk about what a big deal this almost was and still could be.
Yeah, but one of the things I say to fighters, and they get all this money, and they become champions, and they're young, and they don't know how to handle it. It happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, He was in a nightclub. He left the nightclub, got into his car. The Ferrari probably parked in front of the club. He got into it, sped off over 100 miles an hour. You know, he was probably not, you know, 100% coherent.
We don't know, and there's been no toxicology report back on it.
Right, we don't know.
But we've heard reports that he has been partying, and I hate doing this because I don't want to start some rumors because we don't have any toxicology. But that we have heard reports out of a lot, you know, out of camps and out of fight, you know, like this is what we do.
This is all hearsay. We don't know.
Exactly. I want to be very clear. But that he was doing a lot of partying after beating Porter, after unifying, which he has every right to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. He has to live his life. You know, there's okay with celebrating becoming a unified welterweight champion of the world. But you can't be reckless. And when you see that video, there's no other. I mean, it was sober, drunk, sleepy. You want to call it whatever you want. That was reckless. I mean, there was it was dangerous.
You know, you see some fights, some great fighters that could have made it and didn't because of that same reason. Like one example I'll give you is Salvador Sanchez.
The most famous example.
Yeah, when he beat this fellow from Puerto Rico, Gomez, and I mean, it was a fight that. When he beat Gomez, a 200-undefeated fight, up on the side of the rivalry, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. And Sanchez stopped Gomez, and 2 months later, he gets into a similar car accident, but he died in that case. He didn't survive. He died in that case.
He was, 23 years old, right?
Yeah, he was 23. Probably one of the best Mexican fighters out of Mexico.
And considered, and to many Mexican fans' accounts, would have been the greatest featherweight in history. Yeah. But, you know, there's...
Yeah, well, you know, but
it's safe to say that's the biggest what-if ever, right?
Yeah,
I mean, as far as, like, a career that was cut short.
Yeah, when he started with Fedor Gomez, it was an unbelievable fight, a great fight, epic fight. And to this day, people still talk about that great victory of Salvador Sanchez. Then you had Billy Collins when he got stopped by Luis Resto. He got into a drinking after that loss with Luis Resto, got into a car. He also died in a car accident. And then you also had Diego Corrales, who died in a motorcycle accident about 12 years ago here in Las Vegas. Paul Williams, also a motorcycle accident. He ended up paraplegic, paralyzed from the waist down, and that ended his career. And now you have Errol Spence Jr. I mean, these are things that happen in the sport where these fighters got to be so careful.
Yes.
You're making this kind of money, you know, hire yourself a chauffeur.
Yes.
Get yourself driven around. You want to go to a party, let somebody escort you.
You just have to be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, whether it's money or not. I mean, look, you can get in an accident in an Acura. You know what I mean? It's not so much about the Ferrari, but you have to be careful.
Yeah.
You have to, because this is,
you know,
I mean, think about this career that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but you know,
this would have been the biggest what if ever.
Yeah, but you know, these cars, these Ferraris are meant to be like, what the hell, you got the speed limits are way below what is Ferraris.
Yeah.
But when you got to drinking, you know, you can put that foot to the metal to the pedal, pedal to
the metal.
Pedal, and they go all the way to do what? To prove what to the world? To prove what? To show off that you got a Ferrari that you can go 100 miles an hour?
Showing off.
Who cares? It's an ego thing?
Kinda, yeah. But also, you just became you're the undisputed welterweight, unified welterweight champion of the world. You got to feel kind of invincible. And a lot of these guys do a lot of times. You see these guys that can do just these, I mean, he's never lost in professional rankings.
Right.
He's never been really tested.
Right.
I mean, well, okay, Sean Porter actually did. He tested him. It was a phenomenal fight, but you have to feel, I mean, untouchable in a lot of ways.
Right.
And it's very fortunate that his humbling experience wasn't dying. I mean, this was really, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't seen the video, you should go watch it. It was crazy to watch this car flip over and over again and know that this guy
survived.
This is the same guy that we just saw.
No broken bones?
No broken bones, just facial lacerations.
And
Tyson Fury probably looks worse right now than he does.
I'll tell you, it's a shame that a week, 2 weeks before, he came out clean from that epic battle with Sean Porter.
He had some facial lacerations from that, too.
Yeah.
Might have been, compounded.
But we're going to wish him the very best speedy recovery for Errol Spence Jr. Great fighter, great person, lovable young man. We wish him a speedy recovery.
And like I said, let's focus on the good news being, even in a week marred with tragedy, that's what we'll remember this week from was Patrick Day, even more so than anything that happened in the ring. It'll be stuff that happened out of the ring, Patrick Day and Errol Spence. The fact that as of this taping, they're both still alive, and it looks like Errol's going to make a full recovery. This ended up being, you know, it ends on a more of a happy note than it could have.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
Now talking about positive, on a positive note, we're talking about Usyk.
Yes, sir.
Usyk made his debut in the heavyweight division.
Finally, Joe. We've been talking about this, over a year now,
Yeah,
Joe?
but who did he fight?
I already forgot his name, Joe. Chaz Witherspoon, Joe. He fought Chaz Witherspoon.
Chaz Witherspoon, that's Tim Witherspoon's son.
Yes, it is.
And well, he beat him a decision.
No, he got retired in the corner. His corner retired him.
Well, okay.
But it wasn't the heavyweight knockout.
It was not a knockout.
We were trying to see, how's he going to take heavyweight power? How's his power going to translate to heavyweight?
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, this was supposed to be a very big deal. I have a lot of questions about this, and you're the guy I come to when I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, but what happened? I mean, what's happening with these guys with the drugs? What's happening with that?
Well, okay, that's an excellent point. He was originally going to fight, I believe, Derek Chisora, and then he was going to fight another guy, and then another guy, and then eventually it was going to be Tyrone Sprong. And if you're saying who, then you're like everyone else. Tyrone Sprong, you know, is a journeyman at best, but that's okay. It's okay. I mean, Chisora would have been a good test. A top 20, 25 heavyweight coming up from unified 5-belt cruiserweight champion, moving up in weight class. It would have been a phenomenal test to see how he stands up to a Derek Chisora. We didn't get Derek Chisora. We didn't even get Tyrone Sprong. He failed the drug test with a week left, and so we got Chaz Witherspoon, who looked about as interested in the fight as you all are hearing me talk about it. It just wasn't that interesting, and it should have been, Joe. This is a guy who's maybe the most technical boxer going from cruiserweight to heavyweight that we've seen since Evander Holyfield and maybe before. This is a guy who, in many ways, you know, is Lomachenko at heavyweight. I mean, how is this not more exciting? This is a guy who exhibits as many feints and phenomenal footwork, and this is a phenomenal technical boxer. This is a top 5 pound-for-pound boxer moving up to the most exciting division in the sport. And those of us who heard about it didn't care, and most of us didn't hear about it. Exactly. Why wasn't this a bigger deal? Is it because he's not a big enough name? Is it because the opponent changed so many times? Is it because nobody watches DAZN? What was the reason?
It's a combination of many.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Eastern European fighters traditionally don't have the fan base.
He doesn't have a fan base here in the United States. He may have a fan base over there. But until he started bumping off some guys here in the U.S., I mean, big-name guys.
Let's be honest. All it would take was him to fight one of the big three and win, and all of a sudden he's a draw, right?
Yeah, he got to beat guys like Luis Ortiz.
Even
like,
Ortiz,
like he got to beat guys like Tyson Fury. He got to beat guys like Deontay Wilder. Now you're starting some name recognition.
Well, yeah, now you're the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, but I mean, even Andrew Ruiz. Look at Andrew Ruiz.
Yes.
Andrew Ruiz is an example. He was nobody.
He had a lower profile than Usyk did, and now everyone knows who Andy Ruiz is.
Yeah, but he put that big surprise, big upset, the punch heard around the world, but he stopped Anthony Joshua.
Although I got to be honest, Joe, Usyk didn't impress me, and I wanted him to. I wanted him to dance around at 215 pounds with the kind of technical dominance he had at every single. I mean, this is a guy who won Fighter of the Year last year walking away. He completely unified the cruiserweight division, one fight after another, and he was just as phenomenal.
But he was 215 pounds, right?
That's what he came in at.
Muhammad Ali, in his prime, he was fighting at 215 pounds.
That's what Deontay Wilder weighs.
You know, and that's what he weighs. You know, so, I mean, you can fight that way. You could say you were a cruiserweight, but now you're fighting heavyweight. You want to risk it and go up to the heavyweight. You got to put your
he was
punching,
so scared of
your
contact,
punches.
Joe. He was scared of contact. He didn't want to get hit, and he was throwing. I mean, it was a lot of feints. It was a lot of. It looked like he was trying to outpoint Chaz Witherspoon, and that's not the reason why you're fighting Chaz Witherspoon, Usyk. You're fighting Chaz Witherspoon so you can get a highlight real knockout. You're fighting Chaz Witherspoon for the same reason why Tyson Fury fought Tom Schwartz, so you can have a highlight heavyweight knockout on your resume with your current network, moving on to your bigger fights. That's what you're fighting him for. It's not to get a corner stoppage.
But you know what happens though with these guys? They go out and they perform, and they don't get the popularity like other fighters. I mean, Muhammad Ali could have gone in that ring by himself and do shadow boxing, would have draw a better fan base than Usyk
athlete ever.
You know, because I mean, these guys, you want to go out there, you got to go out with an explosive winner, a good knockout. Even if you're fighting a Palooka out there, but you're fighting somebody, at least you demonstrated you belong in the heavyweight division. But don't go there and say you're a top 10 contender.
What makes a draw, Joe? Like a draw?
A good explosive knockout. That's why Mike Tyson drew so many fans.
100%. It's what happens in the ring. For a lot of people, it's a style. I mean, look at guys like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. We talk about why aren't their stars brighter. They don't have the biggest personalities, but what they do in the ring makes them pay-per-view draws. There's a reason these guys are pay-per-view fighters.
Well, look at we have so many fighters out there. And you have Mayweather.
Yes.
Who a lot of fans hate him, but you know what? He draws fans.
He was the most marketable person,
Yeah.
athlete, we've seen in 50 years.
He's the only athlete that made over $1 billion.
Yes.
You know,
in his sport,
boxing,
yes.
in his sport.
It's
Who
absolute
else has
insanity.
done that? And he was
No
not
one.
a bigger one. The glamour division has always been the heavyweight division.
Absolutely.
We got fans all over the world when they say want to go see a fight. If it's a heavyweight fight, everybody will go. If it's anything other than heavyweight, they say, I'll watch it on TV.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the deal. When we talk about what makes a draw, Usyk has a phenomenal personality. But we've seen over and over and over again, we see it right now with Lomachenko. No matter how good you are or interesting, if you're having a language barrier that isn't Spanish, you're going to have a hard time drawing a crowd. So what you need to do is be exciting in the ring. And as technically incredible as he is, he's not a knockout artist. He's not a lot of things. So outside of beating one of the big heavyweights, there's no way he's going to become the kind of draw that we know that he could become. So how long till we see him in the ring with one of those big heavyweights?
We'll see. Now, Andrew Ruiz, heavyweight, he can punch.
Oh, yeah. Punches and bunches.
Punches and bunches. But not only that, he's got something about him that, I mean, he has the speed. He has the speed. He has the boxing skills. And you look at him and
he's endearing.
Yeah.
There's something about him. You love the guy.
I mean, And when Eddie Hearn saw him, he said, "Yeah, we'll take him. We'll take him on. He'll be easy."
Hey, Aram, he bought out Aram. I mean, he's a PBC fighter.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're right, when Eddie Hearn saw him as a potential opponent, he goes, "Yeah, he kind of has some recognition. He just beat that big German the other day on Fox."
And
it was him or Michael Hunter.
Exactly. I wonder how Michael Hunter would have done against.
I don't think he beats Joshua, but
Joshua.
Then again, Joshua didn't look great that night.
He was off on that, huh?
Yeah, he was. I mean, but then again, my opinion, I think Joshua beats Jarrell Miller if he had fought Jarrell Miller in that fight. I think he beats Michael Hunter. I think he loses to Ruiz if they fought that same fight 10 times. I think he loses at least 6 times. I really do, because he was the wrong opponent for him, and he went in with the wrong mindset. He went in ready to fight a Jarrell Miller, a big lumbering, a prototypical heavyweight journeyman, and instead he got a guy who throws faster combinations than his cousins at middleweight.
He surprised him. He surprised the whole world that night.
My God, it was just incredible.
Yeah, and in boxing, we also got to stop and think about the officials. You got officials that are looking at the fight, and you got to wonder, are they watching a fighter who has great potential, like Anthony Joshua has a big name, Muhammad Ali had a big name, Sugar Ray Leonard had a big name, Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar De La Hoya. We want to make sure that the officials stay neutral at all times.
The judges?
The judges.
Oh, yeah.
The judges, especially the judges and the referee. You can't side for one fighter or the other. You have to call it the way you see it.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that as officials, I most recently got my license to be I got a referee license again, but it's just because I'm going doing the instant replay.
Well, that's cool.
In Nevada, and I have to be very careful because, again, I'm an official now with a license. I have to be careful. That's why these judges have to also be careful what they say, what they do, because the whole world's watching you. As you're an official, you're under a microscope at all times. But if we want to see the judges call it the way it is, you can't go with a favorite fighter just because he got a big name. As a judge in boxing, you have to be like a judge in the courtroom. Call it the way you got to be level on both sides. Don't pick sides. And at the end, that's why you got the judge got to be fair. Then you got a jury to make a decision. But in boxing, sometimes it's very difficult. It's a fine line.
Well, that's the tough part. Right?
when you love the sport, you're an official. There's a fine line. You love it. You love the fighters, or you love the sport. You got to say, I love the sport.
You can't be a fan. Yeah,
you can't be a fan of the fighters. You got to be a fan of the sport, but not of the fighters.
Isn't it fair to say, though, that a lot of times when we scream corruption or we say, hey, he was favored, he's bought, or he's a fan, a lot of times it's a lot of swing rounds, and when there's a swing round, because we don't score any rounds 10-10 anymore. Right. We don't score any rounds 9-9. Every round is 10-9 or 10-8, pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
So if you have to pick a winner, most times people favor the A side because they're either influenced by the crowd or the A side just knows how to make it look like they're doing more.
But
swing rounds are.
But again, you say by the crowd, you can't let the. Sometimes you say you got the WBC. The judges wear these ear.
That's smart.
Ear like.
Again, you can't always tell
headphones, headphones.
Sometimes you want to hear the punches.
You don't want to hear the punches, because you don't want to hear the fans. A fighter will throw a punch, and he was a local fighter. The fans, even though he didn't connect, they would jump off their seats, especially the ones up in the rafters up in the nosebleed section, they swore that he got hit with a hard punch. The punch never even landed. So we have
You
to
watch
be
every
careful.
Mayweather fight. Every time a
Yeah.
guy lands a punch on his like
On the
arm,
glove, yeah.
and the crowd goes crazy because
Yeah.
they think he landed something.
Yeah.
You see that how many times over and
But
over again?
that's why I said we got to make sure the judges are selected properly for a fighter, and the commissioners and the sanctioning body have to know their officials. Because you have to know the officials, like you're a coach of a baseball team, you got to know what pitcher you got to put in there to make sure you got the right pitcher against the right batter. You know, you got to know your players.
Absolutely.
You know, so this way in boxing, the commissioners or sanctioning body got to select the right judges for the right fight. If you know that particular judge likes a boxer over a slugger, don't put him in a fight where there's a slugger and a boxer. The chances are he's going to favor the slugger, or vice versa. If he likes a boxer over the slugger, he may favor the boxer. So you try to pick an official that you know as a coach that he can go both ways regardless. It doesn't make no difference to him. But some officials, you ask an official, who's your favorite fighter? You like a Muhammad Ali or you like a Rocky Marciano? If he says he likes a Rocky Marciano, that means he loves a slugger.
Yes.
I'm not going to put him into a particular fight because he's liable to go with the slugger.
You see fighters that they are a lot of judges, you know, if you follow their whole career, they favor volume punchers, even if it's not a clean blow, or they favor defensive fighters, or they favor just exactly what you're saying. I mean, I know I'm just repeating what you're saying, but it's just in a different way. But you see it far too often where, I mean, I think that's just part of human nature, right? This guy, naturally, that's what he sees.
Yeah.
This is a nightclub.
We're like in a nightclub here now. The music just shut on. But we can keep talking here.
We shout at each other over there.
No,
Pretty cool.
I think we're okay with the mics here, but we got to hear music in the background.
I know, it's pretty nice.
It makes me want to get up and dance, right?
Yeah. Well, that's something.
Where did that come from? Good thing is that was the music. That we sound like we're in a nightclub. We're here at the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame Museum, within the Heads Up Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world.
Yes, sir.
And I can tell you that in the ring here, this here ring here, we've had some exhibitions with some amateur fighters last week, and we're going to be bringing in some more fighters to entertain the fans when they come in to look at the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
And please come. We have some people right now that are checking it out. We have some people all the time. Please come to the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame here in Las Vegas. It is a fight fan's dream in so many ways. I mean, if you are a fight fan, you imagine, where do you go to appreciate the sport? You can go to Canastota, New York,
to
the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but most people aren't already in Canastota, New York, unless you're making a trip just for that. People come to Vegas every single day.
We get 50 million tourists come here to Vegas. 50. If we get 1% of that come here to the Hall of Fame, it would be great.
You better expand if you get 1%.
Hey, before we wrap it up, let's talk real quick about the November 2nd fight, Canelo Alvarez. I show you a Kovalev.
I'm all for that, baby. What do you want to say about it?
Well, I just want to say that make sure you don't miss the fight, because it's going to be a good fight. You see Canelo Alvarez coming up from welterweight, 147, 154, 160, 168, now fighting at the light heavyweight championship against one of the tough ones out there. But Kovalev is a little up in age, 37 years of age.
He's up in age, but he's also, I mean, he just knocked out Anthony Yard with a jab. I mean, this guy still carries that power, and he carries it behind his jab. And we've seen in 2 different fights how effective Triple G's jab was against Canelo, and making setting the pace. It was really all Triple G had, and he was able to convince many fans that he won both. In some cases, both fights just behind the power of that jab. Kovalev's jab is harder than Triple G's jab.
But Canelo Alvarez, has been working a lot in the gym lately, slipping a lot of those punches, slipping, and getting inside and working that body. He's a hell of a good body puncher.
He might be the best body puncher in the world. It's him or Errol Spence. I mean, those are 2 bodywork artists.
I mean, Canelo Alvarez definitely is a good body puncher. It's definitely going to work out, and they're going to finish him up with blows to the head.
If Kovalev can keep him at bay, though, with
He
that jab.
got to keep him at bay, but he got to be.
This could look like, I mean, and I'm trying not to do this, but I see this fight coming down to Kovalev's jab. And I said the exact same thing when it came to Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. When he went up 2 weight classes, I said if Errol Spence can control the distance and control the pace behind his jab, then it's going to be a very long night for Mikey Garcia. And it was a very long night for Mikey Garcia. Now, Canelo Alvarez is a phenomenal fighter. He's an absolute face of boxing. He is the #1 fighter in the world by many respects. And in many cases, in many people's list, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. But if he can't find a way to mitigate Kovalev's jab, then he's going to be in for a very long night.
Yeah, I think that the fans, they're going to get a good fight. I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible when it comes to this here fight, because I will definitely be there at ringside for this fight, and and I'll be watching Canelo Alvarez and Kovalev and see who's got the best advantage on that. We know Kovalev got the height, got the reach, got the power, but Canelo has the speed, the body punching. He's got a lot of experience as well. It's going to be a good one.
I'm looking very forward to it.
But I mean, when Mikey Garcia fought Errol Spence Jr., it was a similar situation.
Very much so.
I mean, Mikey Garcia going for 130.
Going up 2 weight classes,
to fight Errol Spence Jr. And Errol Spence Jr. was able to beat him, not able to knock him out, but was able to beat him. It didn't really hurt him that seriously.
No, he didn't. But he completely mitigated everything that Mikey Garcia tried to do.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's actually a lot of similarities here.
Yeah.
Because Mikey Garcia it was said he went up 2 weight classes. He said he only went up 1
Right.
because he had already collected a belt at 140. But that belt at 140 wasn't. It was very similar to the belt. It was a WBA regular belt, just like Canelo collected at 168.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, he's going from 160 at the championship level to 175 at the championship level. That's a 2 weight class jump at a area where 2 weight classes is enormous. 160 to 175. I mean, you're talking about 2 different sized human beings.
Right.
And Kovalev has made a living behind that jab, and if he's able to make that work, you're going to have yourself some trouble. Then again, Canelo's made a living at body work, and Kovalev is, he's been susceptible to body work his whole career. So at the end of the day, this is as intriguing a matchup as we get in boxing.
Yeah, it's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be held here at the T-Mobile Arena, November 2nd. It's going to be a fight that the fans will want to miss, because this fight will determine if Kovalev keeps going up in boxing, retaining his light heavyweight title, or if Canelo say, you know what, I better sit back down, stay with the lower division at 160. But that November 2nd, we'll have an answer for you that night to see who is the better fighter in the that weight class. We're going to be.
We absolutely will.
We're waiting to see that. And again, fans, we want to tell you a speedy recovery again for Errol Spence Jr. and for Patrick Day. And Patrick Day seems to be in the worst condition of the two, but I wish him a speedy recovery. Our prayers go out to you guys and family members. And remember, us as boxing aficionados, we want to just tell you to keep your guards up at all times, no matter what you do in life, whether you're in the ring, outside the ring, in any walk of life. Keep yourself protected. Have somebody, if you're going to be out and have a party, get yourself a limo driver. Get somebody to drive you around. There's no need for you to be driving on your own, especially when you're having a good time.
Uber.
Take care. God bless. Keep your guards up at all times. And remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch them up.